preparing to live stream the meeting. Setting up your meeting for YouTube Live. And done. We're on.
Well, hello and welcome to the very first episode of Luke and Waz's Excellent Adventure. I'm here with my good friend Luke Oliver, and we are talking about all sorts of things, but we thought we'd kick it off today with talking about some movies and movies that we've enjoyed, maybe some movies we haven't enjoyed, but a movie that both of us have enjoyed, which is a bit of a connector between us, is Cinema Paradiso, which is something that a movie I had gone to see at the cinema, at a little art house cinema a long time ago, and always loved it, and had it on DVD. I know, what is that? It's a small laser disc thing, and had said to my friend Luke, you have to watch this. So I gave it to him, and
I held on to it for 3 years without watching it.
and
that's how much trust I had in you.
But then you did watch it.
I did eventually watch it, and partly out of pure embarrassment for having this disc for so long. And then eventually, the funny thing is, I watched kind of the first 30 minutes, I think, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I've got the brain space for this.
Yeah.
And so I actually put it to one side after doing that. And it wasn't until much later, when I was in a bit of a personal crisis, that I went, nah, I'm going to watch this. And I have never seen, like, as males, we're supposed to be strong, tough. There is a persona as males that we're supposed to be a certain thing. This movie broke every single one of those things.
Right at the end?
Not even right at the end, like halfway through.
Oh, yeah.
I found myself...
You're already whimpering.
I found myself a blubbering mess.
Yeah.
Like, just going, oh my goodness.
Well, you know me, like, I'll start crying on like a tissue commercial watching little puppies play, you know, like, it's so cute. So something just like, no, I'm fine, I'm all right, let's have a little drink, I'll be okay.
I was just out of it. And then the movie continued on, and it just like, it just drove it home time and time again, aspects of life and aspects of love.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny because there's what you gave me was the director's cut, but this movie has a version that's not the director's cut, which almost eliminates the love story completely. Mm-hmm. So there are two things happening in this movie at the same time. And I think if you don't watch the director's cut, you have not really witnessed the power of cinema and the brilliance of I've forgotten his name that directed it. Did he write it as well?
Yeah. Oh, no.
Gee.
Anyway, for those who haven't seen it, how would you explain it without kind of giving it away, I guess? I don't know. Can you give it away?
Well, I think to give people a chance to, I think we should go in depth and talk about the movie, but I'll give a summation and then people can jump out if they want to and watch it without spoiling it for them. But I think it's the journey of a young boy fulfilling his life, or growing up in a very quaint town,
A village.
a village in Italy, and his love of cinema. And apart from the fact that he, at that young age, is not making cinema, you can see that he has a great love for the artistry.
Mm.
And within the realm of cinema, the actual physical aspects of love that he witnesses. And then goes through aspects of a life where things are turned on their head, where he needs to go and be part of the military after finding perhaps the love of his life, and basically the events that happen after that.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you explore any more than that, you are spoiling just certain elements of the
Yeah.
movie
Like
for
the ship
people.
sinks. What?
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that to me is the crux of the movie, and I think it's beautifully shot. It's
Yeah.
beautifully told. I even love that in English we get to see it in Italian.
Yes.
The Alfredo's character is one of those characters that you cannot replicate. He's just beautiful in personality, and he's a discipline of Toto.
He's the father, isn't he? He's the father he never had.
Yeah, he is. And anyway, I'll hand it over to you to say what you think, maybe before we go and then spoil the entire story.
Well, I just think, it's beautifully shot, and it's so, the performances are just so rounded and just executed perfectly. And I think the other thing thinking about is the pace of the film, the timing, the tempo of the edits and of the scenes just is flawless. But the structure, we just peel back the story. We just see the inner workings of the structure of the film is just so well put together, and the setup and the payoff, the delivery at the end is just sublime. It is just the most beautiful payoff at the end, and it's moments like that you see that the handiwork of a very talented script writer and filmmaker. That's in those moments there you go, oh yeah, they know what they're doing. When you can look back on it, when you're not going, because if you're absorbed in it, you're not thinking that. But afterwards, I'm like, yeah, look, that's crafted. That's been so well crafted. So,
and also the music needs to be, and Ennio, who is no longer with us, he should have won an Oscar for this music. He should have won it for The Mission as well.
Yeah, that was a powerful film.
And the fact that he eventually won it, but it was for the movie that it was still a good movie and good orchestration, but the music, the power of the music in The Hateful Eight is nothing compared to these two movies. So it would have been great for him to win it.
Yeah.
on his what I would have felt like was his own merit on these other two powerful movies.
Mm.
Um, the music in this film is extraordinary.
Well, it's another character, isn't it? It really does. It just really just sits there and underpins the whole film, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, and that plays into that final scene.
Yeah. Again,
The final scene. Yeah.
that's the handiwork of, a very, very clever filmmaker,
Yeah.
who's using all of the tools, of the tools at their disposal to, create that emotion, that scene, that.
Okay, so for those that haven't watched it, now is the time to depart from this and go and watch. Now, watch the director's cut. Find it somehow.
Mm.
I have just
What are we talking about again?
Cinema Paradiso.
Cinema Paradiso.
Cinema
For me, it was always that, as a young person, we had that cinema here called the Astor, and they used to send out their posters, and there was always like a couple of films, on that art house cinema. There was always like Betty Blue. There was always, there was a Rocky Horror Night. There was a Blues Brothers night. There was, all of these kind of, and then they had, of course, a lot of other art house stuff, but Cinema Paradiso was always there. And I remember anyone that was sort of like, pseudo creative always had the Astor poster on the back of their toilet door, and it was always there.
That or Scarface.
Yeah, Scarface was always on there. That's right. But I always remember it was always on those posters, on the Astor poster that was on the back of the toilet door, and you weren't someone who was truly, creative unless you had one of those posters. And then, but for a long time, I remember like I hadn't seen it, and that was always like, what haven't I seen, And then when I finally did see Cinema Paradiso, I was like, why did I wait so long?
Now, because I have completely corrupted Waz's DVD version of it, I decided I needed to buy him a new copy. Is it Blu-ray that I bought you, or is it just DVD? I can't remember.
No, I think it was just DVD.
Okay, so that's the best copy that I could find. I won't tell you how much it cost because
maybe it was Blu-ray.
Maybe it was Blu-ray. I can't remember, but
I haven't watched it yet, but I will.
Well, I hope you do because I hope it works.
I want to watch it now.
Yeah. Again, I won't tell you how much it cost. It was
expensive.
It was pricey for a DVD for a movie.
Well, you didn't have to do that. I do appreciate.
No. I did have to do that. I did have to after all the time I held on to your copy. But the point is if people want to get out there and buy it, they can still find the director's cut. It's on Amazon, and it is worth every cent if you go and purchase that particular copy.
Which is kind of interesting in this day and age when you can, kind of find almost anything on the streaming services. But some of that stuff you can't, and I had an extensive DVD and Blu-ray collection, and there's a lot of stuff that I kind of go, well, that's kind of still worthy having a physical copy. And I think that's one film that and I'm sort of been in the process of getting rid of everything, because it's like, I don't know, I'm just trying to thin out the library. And then, but I'm like, that's one film that I would keep the Blu-ray or the DVD, It's kind of like your favorite books, you go, okay, well, I've read them. Yeah, I've read them, so whatever, but I don't really need, but no, I can't throw that one out because I'm kind of attached to it,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's definitely a keeper. And it's one of the reasons why I bought you a version so that I would have a version as well.
Right.
Um, because it's like, okay, well, I'm going to hold on to your old one, but I'll give you a new one to
Oh,
replace it. And that's my love of both the movie and also a thanks to you for introducing the movie to me.
mhm.
Um, and people will not under people will not under unless you've sat and watched it. People will be like, are these two crazy men talking at the moment? Like, unless you have had the ability to connect with and it's not one of those movies you can sit and you go and it feels like at the beginning, it feels like one of those movies where you can sit and just, I'll go and get a coffee and I'll come back. But if you miss
Kind of growth.
any scene,
Yeah, yeah.
if you miss any line, you will not get the full impact.
I think you become more invested in his story as you go too. Like early on, you're just kind of trying. I mean, which is great. You're kind of trying to find your feet, trying to understand what's going on. But then you just, it lures you in this film, and then before you know, you're just fully invested in this young boy and his story and what's going to happen to him. And it's surprising how quickly I think, I found myself invested in the story and really I didn't want to get up and leave and, miss a moment. So, yeah.
And it's even down to the point of the opening titles now. I don't want to miss a beat of the music
Yeah.
and that vista that you see
Mm.
before the camera pulls back and sees his mum.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to miss a single moment of that as I watch it, because the whole story would be less than if I didn't.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think there's, so many strong kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Human elements in that film. And leaving, it's really all about love. It's so much about love and loss, and and the ending, which we've spoken about, which if anyone else has read Robert McKee's story or done any of his screenwriting lectures, you'll know that he often talks about the ultimate ending to write in any film is the ironic ending, which is to win but lose, lose but win. And one of the classics of that is, the end of Casablanca.
Yeah.
Which is amazing screenwriting.
One of my favorites.
I mean, it's just an all time. I mean, you can't, everyone that's a student of the cinema knows the Casablanca ending is just like, he let her get on the plane,
Yeah.
And then, but, I think that the ending of Cinema Paradiso is that ironic ending. It's just kind of that, it's not in the same way, but the power of that final scene and, and just all of that weight of his life comes down to that moment, and there's so much love, but it's a bit, I don't know, bittersweet, melancholy, it just kind of, it's got several emotions kind of in one, but so it's really, wow. It's really a full-on kind of piece of cinema to watch and really absorb, I think, But again, coming back to that, writing that ending, I mean, can you imagine being those screenwriters writing that ending? You'd be like, oh yeah, we've got it. Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
all over the place. That ending's amazing.
And it's funny because it was not as well received as it should have been.
Yeah.
And to have that disappointment on the, but you've got the classic camera moves at the end which I call classic camera moves, but they are not camera moves that are easy to do. But they are iconic because they have purpose and meaning invested into the movement, which is invested into the music, which is invested into the emotion of the moment. And that's why all of those things combine together so powerfully. Um, and then you cut back to the old movies, that he's been watching all of his life. So now is definitely the time for people to, if they haven't seen the movie, get out of here right now, because we're going to start telling you about things.
I'll just go and get it. Just go and watch it.
Yeah.
You might not agree, but I think you'll find, if you're at all got any heart, you will enjoy it.
So, Woz, take us back to the beginning of the movie. Let's talk through the story, the way that it's constructed.
Well, I think for me, some of the scenes that I remember most, the early scenes of him, in the whole town, like the cinema was just such that a focal point of the town. The whole town came together.
No, but even before that, the phone call.
Oh well, no, I can't quite remember that. You
so it starts with the.
Yeah. You go.
The mother. It starts with the mother.
That's
so
right.
It's shot out the window, and we pull back and we see the mother, who is ringing to try and get a hold of her son.
Yeah.
To let her know that Alfredo has died.
Yeah. So sad already.
Yeah. And that's where the story begins. And then the next scene is him as he's driving home, and there's kind of this ridiculous moment, but it points out almost the humanity that he's found himself in, that's very different to this beautiful village that he came from. And he gets home and he's with this woman who has heard the message from the mother to say Alfredo's died, and it means something to him. It doesn't mean anything to us as viewers at that time.
No.
And then we delve back to Toto. I can't even remember the first shot of Toto. Is it him on the front of the bike?
I can't remember. It might be.
I think so, yeah. So Alfredo is I think the first time we see him is on the bike. And it's funny because a lot of motifs in stories are water or air or strong, powerful things. But in this case, it's almost like it's a vehicle is the motif of both the bike, which ends up being the motif of the car, which is where we first see Toto, and where the ultimate expression.
Yeah.
I've only just thought about that literally as we're talking.
Well, yeah, I think I forgot that they put that structure in the film, and I always like that structure too. And I often in my writing, I'm always trying to write that ironic ending. I find that that's where my head always gets to. How do I write that ironic ending? And also that beginning structure of where do I start the film? Is it a linear film, or do I start it. And I really like it when that's done well, when the film starts, you know, further down in the story, and that kind of sets it up and puts the wheels in motion. And, you know, it kind of, that kind of cross-cutting thing where it's putting something else into play. So you know that you've come back, you know, you've been in the future and then you're in the past. And so there's something else going on. And I really, when that's done well, I love it. And I often always look at my ideas and I think, oh, how can I execute that well? You know, I really like it when it works. But yeah, going back to what I said, I think it's those scenes in the town that I really like, because it kind of sets up the village, and it sets it up. It's a village where everyone knows everyone else's business. You know, everyone's connected, and the whole thing is, you know, is such you know, what do they call the courtyard, the town square, you know,
Yeah.
and that whole thing with the cinema being, you know, it's the outside of the church, it's like the most important other building in the town.
Yeah. Well, it's the gathering place. Now, I think I may have lost you. And I don't know. Are we there? You there? You were doing so well, and I think I'm still live, and I think you there. Hello. You dropped out for a moment there.
Oh, so did you. Oh well, we're back.
Yeah, but I think we're still streaming. So
there you go. Yeah, so I think that you know, I was just saying how the cinema was, you know, it was a place where people got their news. It's a place where people come to meet. It was their social outlet. It was their entertainment. And it just kind of takes you back to a time that was more innocent. And, you know, you look at that town, you're like, what an amazing little town, you know? And just how everyone is so, you know, knows everyone else's business and all that. But yeah.
Even down to the guy that is, he keeps saying, it's my town. It's my, you know, I don't know what you class him as. Is he the town drunk, or is he?
Yeah, it's something like that.
But he is still a part of the community,
yeah.
and
Well,
he's
still
still
accepted.
loved and accepted. And everyone kind of goes, yeah, we get who you are. And he's not dangerous. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not nasty. He's not, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's still a love for him despite his own issues.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think those scenes, and also the scenes, you know, with Alfredo in the projection room and all of that stuff is.
There's the beautiful scene where they're watching the movie and everyone else is outside.
Yeah.
And he, you know, uses the mirror to
reflect it.
Reflect the image outside, and then not only that, but quickly sets up a speaker so that they can hear, because there's so many people, they can't all get inside the movie theater. There's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And so he, despite the fact that they can't pay to get in the cinema, well, the cinema's full, he makes it a public service almost. And then even the preacher, the church, my brain, sorry. Well, the pastor says, okay, just charge them half, you know, like he still wants to get his money from from the experience, but at the same time, he's giving something back.
Mm.
And from a filmmaker's point of view, that's brilliant because you're showcasing two elements there. You are the people that would go down the theory of the greed of the church, and he hasn't done that. He's gone down the empathy side, and yet he's still getting money. And it's like, if you were true empathetic, you'd give it away. And so the filmmaker has presented something innocent and yet, well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny because just talking about all these scenes, it's the emotion of them still just starting to wash back over me again. You know, it's funny how it leaves you with a feeling. You know. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, and this is all happens. I mean, apart from the Toto getting beaten up by the mum, apart from the children being whacked against boards, and so, like, I remember watching the movie with people who are going, like, and it's like, come on, it's set in a humorous way.
Yeah, and it's set in a different time.
And a different time, so you have to have you can't be so regressive.
When you watched it with other people, did they enjoy it? Do you think they got as much out of it as what you have?
No.
Was it lost on them?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I always think it's funny with some films how, I don't know, I mean, maybe it's an industry thing. People who are in industry tend to have a similar response, I think, as me. And then I remember having other people that, friends of mine that aren't, you know, in the industry, and just a completely opposite response of what I expected. And I was like, wow, that's really weird.
I don't understand it.
No.
How can you not? It's timeless. It's masterful, and you know, it's not even pretentious in the way it's shot. You know, like some movies, Transformers, they're pretentious. This is not any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
It is within its realm. It is within the story. The characters, it pokes fun at itself.
But I think the thing is, you know, it's just good storytelling, and it's human-based storytelling, and it revolves around emotion, and, you know, and it's got a beautiful structure. And maybe we're just too old because we care about things like structure.
No, I don't think so. I think that stuff, I think it's timeless. And I think it's what Rob McKee would say is timeless, is the idea of story is, if you don't have story in your life, well, you dream. And I think story to humanity is so important. I think it's one of the reasons, and not everyone will agree with me and not understand it, but it's one of the reasons why the Bible is written in story format, not in a science.
Point form.
In a what? Sorry.
In point form.
I still didn't capture.
Oh, so it's not written in point form.
No, it's not. I mean, how hard? Honestly, if think about it. You're God, and you're going to tell people what to do. How hard is it for you to make a document that is, you must do this, that, the other, whatever? But for those that believe in God, has not done that. What he has done is created a story.
Mm.
But what happens is story actually connects to people.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Very,
and so, and I have my reasons for which are different to yours.
I have no reasons. I'm just random.
No, but my belief system would say, well, no, not my belief system. My personal belief is that God does that because he's interested in a connection with people that is not about you do A, B, C, and you're in. It's about having a connection with someone. And I think for you you're a perfect example of a person that I go, I connect with you,
Mm.
you know,
Some people will
and
feel sorry for you.
and in reverse. Some people will hate. Some people I've literally had in the last little while, people on Facebook go, I don't think we'll ever connect. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But the reality is I think that's the relation, that is the interconnection that someone wants. And that's a hard thing to deal with. Let's get back to the movie.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Rather than,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
We've failed to mention nada.
yeah. Well, you should do that.
Oh, why should I? Oh, I've lost you again. I may still be streaming here. I don't know, people. Don't know if it's my end or was his end, but he'll come back in just a sec, I reckon. Which tells me that's probably his end. Well, in terms of no, I want Wazza to hear what I'm going to say, so I will wait. This is why streaming fails and broadcast wins ultimately. If he calls me, oh, that's bad because I now can only see myself. Oh, we were doing so well. All right, might have to start again.